Welcome to the Sisters of the Shire podcast.
Hello.
I'm Ashley.
And I'm Abby.
How
And
have you been this week, Abby?
you know what? We went to a pumpkin patch on Saturday, and it was 88 degrees.
I was going to say, was it confusing? Because it feels confusing now.
What's that in Celsius for our international listeners of 88 degrees Fahrenheit? It was
minus 32 of that? I don't remember. Something with 32.
It was so hot, and I'm like, what's happening? Am I going to get a sunburn at a pumpkin patch? But also,
and just for the record, like Pacific Northwest summers, like 88's pretty, like I'd say
high.
that's pretty high for a Pacific Northwest summer. Summer.
Yeah. So, we did a corn maze, and I'll just have to tell you my favorite part, because we did a corn maze, and the corn maze, we drove up to it on a tractor. Like, they have a little like shuttle tractor to take you up. And I looked at the corn field and I was like, that's huge. How big is this corn maze that I'm going to be doing with my children? And I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to take forever. And so we get into the corn maze, and it's me and my 8-year-old and my 6-year-old. And we're going through, and like, we were in there for more than half an hour. And we kind of just were like, are we stuck? Are we lost? And we kind of...
I guess we live here now.
Yeah. No. So it was really hot, and the kids were kind of freaking out of like, myself thought we were going backwards and we were doing the whole thing again. And I was like getting kind of freaked out of like, are we doing this backwards? And like, the kids are like kind of starting to feel my energy of freaking out, and so they started to freak out. And then Luna, my 6-year-old, was like, I don't want to live in here. And I'm like, I know, we'll make it out, we'll do it. And
that is how the children of the corn were born.
I know. And so we finally made it out, as you can tell, because I'm on this podcast. I'm here. I made it. We're alive. But
did the children make it, though? Do we need proof of life? You just left them behind and saved yourself.
It's every man for himself. Just pushing through. But it was a beautiful day, but it was like, come on, man, 88 degrees. That was insane. But we are, I don't know, today has been kind of gloomy. So I'm like, ooh, are we finally going to get some fall weather before Halloween? But no. How have you been? You have an exciting thing happening this week.
It's my daughter's birthday.
Yay!
So I am just entrenched in all things Nightmare Before Christmas.
Oh, again?
Again. It's very convenient because I spent so much money on decorations one year. I'm like, well, this is just what we're doing from now until the end of time.
She's just helping you out. She's like, exactly. Mom spent a lot of money on that. Let's just do it again.
Exactly. But in other news, she lost a tooth.
What?
Her first tooth. And she's just turning 5. And so I was kind of freaking out. Like, I didn't even have it on my like radar until like maybe 6 or 7. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, did she hit something when I wasn't looking? Like, you know, she kind of roughhouses with her dad a lot. Like, did he, you know, not see a collision or something? And then
so it just fell out like on its own, or she didn't pull it out?
So it was like off kilter, and I'm like, oh my gosh, how come I never noticed that tooth was so crooked? And then I like go to look at it, and she like touches it with her tongue and it moves. I'm like, whoa, what the?
I gotta say, worst part of parenting, I have to say, is loose, wiggly teeth. I cannot handle it. Luna has a loose tooth
Well,
right now. Whenever she smiles, she looks like Mater because it just sticks out in all these different ways.
well, the poor thing. So she starts freaking out and she just doesn't know what's happening. She
She thinks she's
she
falling
starts
apart.
she's falling apart and I'm like trying so hard not to laugh because she's asking like these she's having like an existential crisis. She's like, "Mommy, how do you get dead?"
Oh
Like, "Mommy, is this tooth gone forever?" Like she was just like thinking this is the beginning of the end. Like I'm going to die after this or
no, I'm
something.
falling apart.
And then
You have to read her this book. Maybe you can get it from the library. It's
okay.
called Parts.
Okay.
It's just called Parts, and it's a kid's book, and we read it. My kids love it, but he thinks he's falling apart because, like,
Ah.
he does like that. He has like an existential crisis because I think he loses like a tooth, or he like sneezes and he notices like stuff comes out of his nose. He's like, "Oh my gosh, my brains!" and like, and so he thinks that like when he loses his teeth, all his bones are gonna fall out, and
Yeah, I think that's exactly what happened with her and it was just it just broke my heart, but it was also like I'm trying very hard not to laugh because she is just like freaking out. How do you go from my tooth is loose to, "Mommy, how do you get dead?"
oh my god.
And then I, of course, like I was at spur of the moment, I probably didn't answer it the best way. I was like, well, sometimes with some people they get really really sick and then they die kind of like, and I was trying to use like my grandpa Pete, he got really really sick and he died, and she had just recovered from a cold and I did not think of that, and she's like, but I was really really sick. I'm like, no, no.
You monster.
I know. Did not handle that well.
Oh my gosh, that's
So if anyone has
hilarious
an
though.
answer for a 5-year-old level of "Mommy, how do you get dead?" I would love to know because I still can't figure out what I should have responded.
Hey, at least it wasn't like some creepy like, "Mommy, how do you get dead?"
Well, given all of her darkness in her life, like with living nightmare and stuff, I'm a little surprised we didn't go down that route. But
Yeah, with the
oh,
monotone.
but then
Mommy.
she also has this weird, like, we were at Disneyland and she loves Zero. Zero from Nightmare Before Christmas. The dog is her favorite thing ever. It's what she's going to be for Halloween. And just I'm hearing her talking to her cousins behind me in line, and she goes, "Well, you know how Zero became a ghost dog, right?" And her cousin goes, "No." He got stepped on.
Oh
Like just out of the blue, never discussed this before, never heard her say that before. Should I be concerned?
no. Hey, oh, Lizzie, I love you, but you're only 5. What's
Uh,
happening?
I don't know what's happening, but I'm also here for it too. Like this will be hilarious one day, but in the meantime, I've got to keep one eye open.
Yeah. Mommy, how do you die?
uh, yeah.
Maybe don't answer her just yet.
Yeah, I'll give it a little. And then I was trying to explain the tooth fairy, but then of course I'm thinking of there's like a scary movie I watched when I was like a teenager about the tooth fairy being like evil. And so I'm like
Mm,
trying really hard not to even like put that thought into her brain. Like, why does
yeah.
the tooth
Watch
fairy collect teeth?
watch the
Rise of the
Guardians
Guardians, yeah.
one. Yeah, that's cute.
But then also I have her tooth and I'm like, Daddy did the switch. And he's like, "Here, go
Uh-huh.
hide this." And I'm like, "So I'm just gonna have this hidden tooth that looks really
You know
creepy
who
because
has
it's so
who has my
tiny."
yeah, you know who has my kids' teeth? The garbage dump. That's who has my kids' teeth.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not a serial killer. I don't keep those.
Shh, don't tell
Yeah. Oh
anyone.
no.
Well, anyways, aside from our our
Mom.
kids drama, mom life,
Yes.
did you have a fun week last week learning about the Silmarillion Balerian Risk game board and all of our characters?
Oh, I know. It was like um yeah, like Risk, but also like that part of like school history class where you learn about like the migrations of, you know, like when people cross the, what is it?
Oregon
The
Trail and stuff.
no, yeah, kind of like Oregon Trail, but more like the indigenous peoples that like they all spread out in like
Oh
Canada
yeah,
and Alaska and stuff
yeah,
like that. I don't know if that's a thing for everybody school wise, but that's what we have, a lot of indigenous like people's history in our schools. I feel that we learned, so that's what it
yeah.
reminded me of.
I remember a whole thing about that. Yeah,
Yeah.
Pacific Northwest tribes and such.
Mhm. Mhm.
Mm-hmm. What do what do English people learn about? They don't have Native Americans. They are the natives.
I know. I don't know.
Huh.
Anyway, so we learned a lot about
Anyways,
migration and
yes.
where different families. Would you call them families or would you call them
I in my head, and I don't know if it's just because I like Scottish history a lot. I refer to them as clans because
clans?
clan I feel like incorporates a family, but also like friends and
Friends and yeah, yeah, yeah.
allies and things. So I like
Mhm.
the word
Mhm.
clan myself, but that's just me.
Okay. I could see that.
Yeah.
It makes sense to me.
Yeah. So just to kind of recap, and I'll do the recapping because I'm sure it you don't remember every specific detail. And I'm just going to try and make this as simple as possible because it is very in depth. But uh, the main area that we were dealing with is within the continent of Middle Earth, Beleriand.
Mhm.
And it is split into a West Beleriand and an East Beleriand with a river dividing it down the middle called.
It starts with an
You,
S.
it does.
S-
Sirion.
Okay, I was close. I said it
You
started
were
with an S.
you were close. And then there is also a river named Galleon in East Beleriand.
Mm.
Beleriand has the ocean on the west border and mountains on the east border. And in the north, we have Morgoth.
In his
In
cold,
west,
icy
in his cold ice
fortress,
fortress.
like
And in
Elsa.
West Beleriand, um, you just read my mind because I have a day's worth of posts revolving around that. You did you see that or something?
No,
Oh
I
my
just
gosh, that is
an,
hilarious.
an ice palace.
What a coinkydink. Okay, you'll be
Oh my
excited. I
gosh!
think it's
You know when
on
like
Wednesday.
like Elsa does that walk where she's like her shoulders are going back and forth and she's like spreading her arms while she's
Yep.
walking. Like I'm imagining him doing that.
Go look at the post or just wait till Wednesday and
Okay.
you will die. Okay.
Okay.
Anyway, so Morgoth is in the north, and in West Beleriand we have Fingolfin,
Born and raised. Yes.
and we have his sons Fingon and Turgon,
Mm-hmm.
as well as Finarfin's sons Finrod Felagund and his brother Orodreth.
Okay.
And we have Círdan the shipwright, who has the majority of the west coast because he likes the water.
It's the best coast. West Coast.
Mm-hmm. What? And then in the middle of Beleriand, we have Fingal and Melian with their girdle
Their love
and
bubble.
their love bubble. And two sons of Finarfin, Angrod and Aegnor.
Ignore.
Aegnor. It's so awkward to say. And then in East Beleriand, we have the Green Elves and the sons of Fëanor, Maedhros, Curufin and Celegorm, Caranthier, Maglor, and Amrod and Amras.
It's a lot of people.
Mm-hmm. He had a lot of sons. And this week, we are going to learn about a very special city that might sound a little familiar, but you probably know little to nothing about it, as it is only mentioned here and there in the books and movies. So get
Okay.
yourself excited.
Okay.
Okay,
I'm on the
so
edge
we're
of my
going
seat because you told me to because my chair squeaks too much.
to. Yes, and I apologize. I tried my best to edit out what I could last week, but the just
Eh,
consider the squeaky chair, the squeaky guinea pigs.
yes. Or just think of it like this. I'm on the edge of my seat, okay?
It is literally illustrated by the sound
Squeaky
of.
chair.
That's when you know Abby's excited.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're starting this week by revisiting our friend Turgon.
Turgon. That sounds like a spice, but keep going.
I know. Tarragon is the thing. So Turgon is one of the sons of Fingolfin, and he and his friend Finrod Felagund received a vision a while back from Ulmo to find places of strength to fortify themselves against any future danger.
It seems like a nice thing to say, like, hey, go protect yourselves. I like you guys. Don't
Yeah.
go protect
And,
yourselves.
and after Finrod Felagund found his cave, Turgon had a bit more of a tough time finding his own dream home. Because remember, Turgon wanted a place like his old home back in Aemon. He wanted a tower like city like Tyrion.
Um, can you imagine his realtors like when he's like, nope, nope, I still don't like it.
Where is my
Do
tower?
do you know how hard it is to find a tower on this market?
And apparently,
In
the
your
only
price range.
realtor who could find it was Ulmo.
It's his second job.
It
His
is.
his realtor, Olmo.
So Ulmo showed him a secret special spot with the perfect tower. But
The
up
perfect
to this
tower.
point, Turgon wanted to keep things a secret and just started to plan things out in his mind until he was ready.
I mean, you can't build a tower by yourself, so I don't know how you'd keep it a secret, but okay.
Well, now Turgon is ready at this point. So now this secret area of land that almost showed Turgon is actually pretty unique. It was actually nearby all the areas we've been talking about in Balerion, but it
Hmm.
was hidden. So originally, when I first read this, I thought, like, oh, it's going to be some like island off to the side, or it's going to be some like area to the south that no one was in. No, it's literally smack dab in the middle of everything. But it's
Hidden?
basically a piece of land surrounded by mountains with a single island of stone in the middle that would be perfect for Turgon's tower.
Oh.
So it's hidden because you could not get to this land at all. It's surrounded by mountains, except by a secret passage.
Secret tunnels.
Secret tunnel. Quote, but there was a deep way under the mountains, delved in the darkness of the world by waters that flowed out to join the streams of Sirion. And this way Turgon found, and so came to the green plain amid the mountains, and saw the island hill that stood there of hard, smooth stone.
Oh. So he found it, or was showed it, how to get in
It was
there.
shown to him, yeah. Almost showed him how to get there because the kind of tunnel system was made from almost
Water.
water. So, yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Sounds like the perfect kind of spot for our man Turgon, right?
Yes, and his tower.
And his tower
I'm sorry, that
dreams.
will always remind me of the quote from Shrek when he's like, do you think he's compensating for something?
uh, maybe, I don't know. Uh, but he even considered it to be kind of a memorial for their city, Tyrion.
Mm.
So at this point, Turgon's heart is set. It is love at first sight. He has found his forever home.
Nice.
But first, he goes back to his kingdom, Nevrast, to plan it all out in his mind. Time goes
Okay.
by, but after the last battle the Noldor had with Morgoth, the glorious battle, if you remember, he
Hmm.
remembers the vision almost showed him and he decides to take action.
Oh, to be
So,
safe, to be
exactly.
guarded.
Yeah. So he gathers all of his best architects and engineers and very secretly leads them to his hidden land.
They signed an NDA.
Yes. So Turgon is still living in Nevrast for the most part, but very slowly and very secretly, his dream home is becoming a reality.
It's like, what is that show? That makeover show that was like on TLC.
With the guy
Um,
that, like, move that truck or whatever.
yes, yeah,
Yes.
and they had to keep it a secret.
Yes. But this is so
Extreme home
secret.
makeover.
It is so secret that even they set, sorry, it is so secret that they even set a watch around the hidden area in case anyone tries to get in or follow them. And Olmo even helps out.
Whoa! Do they have those signs like they have in Disneyland? That's like, "Pardon our dust."
Pardon our pixie dust.
Yeah,
Maybe. But
we're
I think it'd
building
be like,
something
keep
magical.
out, no cool things here, sir. Like,
Yeah.
quote, and the power of Olmo that ran in Sirion protected them.
Whoa! So like the rivers.
Yeah,
Cool.
I know. Olmo might be my favorite Valar.
He's the Ron Swanson, remember?
I know. So after 250 years of, quote, secret toil, the city was at
Jeez.
last completed.
And they didn't say anything about it for that long?
Nope.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
dedication.
Mm-hmm. Turgon originally named it Ondolinde, or the Rock of the Music of Water, because
Ooh.
apparently there were fountains upon the hill. I'm not sure if the architects and engineers made these fountains or if he's referring to waterfalls, but needless to say, the name would eventually be changed. Are you ready
Mhm.
to hear the name?
Okay.
The name of this secret city is Gondolin.
Oh, yeah, I've heard that before.
Right, but you don't know much about it, do ya?
I've
Because we
heard it
don't
been
really.
said in like
Right.
the
This
movies and
sword was
stuff.
made in Gondolin.
Yes. I thought
So,
you were going to say
Gondolin.
Rivendell.
Oh, no, not yet. So, Gondolin actually means the hidden rock, which is
Oh,
pretty appropriate.
yeah. That makes sense.
So, now Turgon has his city. He has his welcome to Gondolin packets ready for his people. He's all
There's a
set to
parade.
go. He's all set to go back to Nevrast and bring everyone in. However, on his way back, Olmo stops and talks to him. Quote, now thou shalt go at last to Gondolin, and I will maintain my power in the Vale of Sirion, and in all the waters therein, so that none shall mark thy going, nor shall any find there the hidden entrance against thy will. Longest of all the realms of the Eldali, or the Eldar elves, shall Gondolin stand against Melkor. But love not too well the work of thy hands and the devices of thy heart, and remember that the true hope of the Noldor lieth in the west and cometh from the sea.
Oh, what does that mean?
Exactly. Like, what is the works of your own hands too much? Um, yeah.
Maybe
Don't be
it's like,
prideful.
yeah, being prideful or like saying like uh
Focus on the family. You don't need to work an 80-hour work week. I don't know. Like,
or maybe it's like you know how like the dwarves kind of like don't share their knowledge
oh, yeah.
to help out.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like that where they're like, Don't do that.
Yeah.
Like, if someone needs your help, you help them out. Like,
Yeah. I like that. And then the true hope of the Noldor is in the west and will come by the sea. So, Valinor, the Valar, is the Valar the
maybe.
only true hope of the Noldor? It's very mysterious. But then Ulmo continues on with his mysterious talk. Quote, and Ulmo warned Turgon that he also lay under the doom of Mandos, which Ulmo had no power to remove. Thus it may come to pass that the curse of the Noldor shall find thee too ere the end, and treason awake within thy walls. Then they shall be in peril of fire.
Ooh.
So,
Uh,
just a reminder in case you've forgotten, the Doom of Mandos was basically the Valar's punishment for the kinslaying that the Noldor did to the Teleri at Aqualande for their ships. It was mainly Theonor's fault, but people did kind of join in, and then they kind of just got a blanket punishment.
yeah.
And yeah, it doesn't specifically say what's going to happen, but basically, like, you're cursed. Like,
Doom.
you are
Doom.
doomed. Yeah. Ulmo continues here, though. Quote, but if his peril draweth nigh indeed, then even from Nevrast one shall come to warn thee, and from him beyond ruin and hope shall be born for elves and men. Leave therefore in his house arms and a sword, that in years to come he may find them, and thus shalt thou know him and not be deceived. And Ulmo declared to Turon of what kind and stature should be the helm and mail and sword that he left behind.
Okay.
Yeah, kind of, he's so specific and yet so vague here. However, I do love this plot twist that one day there will come someone to save them, and Turgon will recognize him by the sword and armor that he left for this mysterious savior.
That's kind of cool, though.
Yeah, right? So,
That's pretty
after
cool.
all this talk, Ulmo returns to the sea, and Turgon goes on to Nevrast to gather all of his people.
Almost like, peace out.
Remember my words.
Yeah.
Because he has to blow his horns at all times.
Yeah.
Now,
And then it just goes
remember.
underwater and it's just bubbles.
Now, remember that Nevrast was actually home to a group of Sindar elves first, but they were
Or
happy
he
to.
does his,
Oh,
I was
go
gonna say,
ahead.
or he does his thing, and then like while he's leaving, he goes underwater while he's still talking, and they're like, "Wait, what? Hey, wait, what did you say? You cut out at the
And
end."
his name will be.
Yeah, yeah. That's why it's so vague.
I like it. I like it. So now remember that Nevrast was actually home to a group of Sindar elves first, but they were happy to share their land with Turgon's clan and even took Turgon as their lord. So, when Turgon is gathering his people to move them to Gondolin, he actually takes this group of Sindar elves as well.
Okay,
And
more the merrier,
Turgon,
right?
right. I'm thinking less incest, please, but you know.
Yes.
Turgon's clan actually ends up being about a third of the group of Noldor that Fingolfin led across the Hellcrax, which is a pretty good chunk.
Okay.
So, with the Sindar and Turgon's Noldor clan combined, it actually turns out to be quite a large group. But
I mean, it's a
somehow,
cool big city, right? I'm assuming it's a
right,
big city.
yeah. But somehow they all managed to leave unseen and in secret to Gondolin. And here the people of Turgon stay. They don't leave the city for hundreds of years.
Whoa.
Would you like to hear a description of Gondolin?
Yes, it sounds like a cool place. They don't want to leave
I
it
know,
for hundreds of years.
right? Quote, behind the circle of the mountains, the people of Turgon grew and throve, and they put forth their skill in labor unceasing, so that Gondolin became fair indeed, and fit to compare even with elven Tyrion beyond the sea. High and white were its walls, and smooth its stairs, and tall and strong was the tower of the king. There, shining fountains played, and in the courts of Turgon stood images of the trees of old, which Turgon himself wrought with elven craft. And the tree, which he made of gold, was named Glingal, or hanging flame. And the
Ooh.
tree whose flowers he made of silver was named Bethiel, or divine radiance.
Mm.
I'm
So
so glad
he made
that
fake
he made a
trees.
likeness of the two trees. Yeah, they're fake, but I'm so glad that someone like finally at least made like a memorial to them.
Yeah. I
About
mean,
freaking time,
that would be pretty cool to see.
right? Um, and in all the artwork, just as a visual for yourself, the city does kind of look like Minas Tirith. They're just like
Mm.
white, circular, just
Yeah, yeah.
so cool and awesome. Now, Turgon did have a wife. Her name was Elanwe,
Saffron.
which
Sorry.
her name was Elanwe, which roughly translates to
Finally,
star
a nice
person.
girl elf name.
I know. Yeah, star person. Unfortunately, though, she died in the crossing of the Helcarax.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, that's a bummer.
Yeah. However, they did have a daughter who survived, and her
Okay.
name is Idril, or Sparkling Brilliance.
Ooh.
Quote, but
That's what
fairer
my
than
parents
all
said
the
when we
wonders of
were like
Gondolin was Idril, Turgon's daughter, whose hair was as the gold of Laurelin before the coming of Melkor. Thus Turgon lived long in bliss.
that. Aw, she's
Sorry, you
got
were saying
pretty
something
hair.
when I talked.
I said, how come my parents didn't name me something cool?
I know. Ashley. Ash tree. But
So
go ahead.
she's got pretty hair.
Pretty hair.
Does she do anything else cool or
Not yet.
okay?
But I do think it's interesting that Tolkien has these special spotlights for daughters in his book. Thingol and Melian's daughter Luthien, Turgon's daughter that we just met, Idril, and later Elrond's daughter Arwen. It makes me
Yeah,
wonder how Tolkien was around his own daughter. Like if he
yeah.
just thought
Does he
she
have
was so
one?
special. He only had one. I looked it up because I was like, wait, is there? I think he had three sons and one daughter, I believe.
Yeah.
And her
So
name was
that's his little
Priscilla.
girl. You know,
Yeah.
cute.
Yeah. So, anyways, Turgon and his people are all happily settled in their secret city of Gondolin. But you might be wondering what happened to their former city, Nevrast.
Okay.
Because it was full of people and then they just left. Apparently, it remained desolate and empty for hundreds of years.
Okay.
I wonder though, like, did no one go looking for these people? Did Turgon tell his brother Fingon or his dad Fingolfin? Like, what an odd thing to just leave the life you knew and live in secret for so long.
Maybe they knew the payout.
Maybe. I don't know if I could do
Maybe.
it.
Yeah. I guess that they maybe it wasn't super great on the other ones. They're like, let's try this new place.
Yeah, that's true. So, now that we have the Gondolin part of this episode completed, for now, I bet you have been wondering when that hot goss session is going to start that I talked about.
Hot
Are
goss.
you
Spill
ready
that
for the
tea.
hot goss?
Spill that tea.
Okay. I got so much secondhand like awkwardness and embarrassment from this chapter. I was like dying. So,
Oh
just
no.
a warning.
Cool, cool.
Yeah. Well, while Turgon was building his secret city, Galadriel has been living where we last left her, in King Thingol
In
and Queen Melian's kingdom
yeah.
of Menegroth and Doriath. She had just met
Okay.
her new elf man, Celeborn, and Melian was her mentor and teacher.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that Melian did live in Valinor for a time before she came to Middle Earth and had her love bubble moment with Thingol. But up to this point, the only other person that Million had to talk to that had been to Valinor was Thingol. So it must have been
Mhm.
nice to have Galadriel around as a new person to talk about Valinor and all that had happened there since Million had left.
Okay.
But as Galadriel is catching Melian up on things, when it came to telling her about the two trees,
Did she not know?
quote, beyond the dark hour of the death of the trees, Galadriel would not go, but ever fell silent. And on a time, Melian said, there is some woe that lies upon you and your kin. That I can see in you, but all else is hidden from me. For by no vision or thought can I perceive anything that passed or passes in the west. A shadow lies over all the land of Aemon and reaches far out over the sea. Why will you not tell me more?
It's like,
Yeah.
ooh.
So remember, although Galadriel and her brother Ingrod and Finrod have all been guests of theirs, no one had actually told Melian or Thingol about the Oath of Fëanor, the kinslaying in Aquilande, the Doom of Mandos, the burning of the ships, or the fact that the Valar have cloaked and hidden themselves because of all these bad things that had happened.
They're giving them the silent treatment.
Right. So
She's so
Galadriel,
blissfully unaware.
stay blissful. Ignorance is bliss. Keep
Yes.
ignorant, Melian. But Galadriel responds to Melian, saying, quote, for that woe is past, and I would take what joy is here left, untroubled by memory. And maybe there is woe enough yet to come, though still hope may seem bright.
Oh, she's like,
So,
I don't want to kill the vibe here.
exactly. Like she could have just told Melanie everything, but instead, I actually respect this response. What is in the past is in the past. Honestly, nothing can be done about it now. It's over. We have all forgiven each other and moved on. Like there might still be some of the doom of Mandos over the Noldor, but that doesn't really concern Melian and Thingol. So I totally agree with this response. This is the very smart response.
Yes. It's a, you don't need to worry yourself about it. There's nothing you can do.
Right. But then Melian responds, quote, Melian looked in her eyes and said, I believe not that the Noldor came forth as messengers of the Valar, as was said at first, not though they came in the very hour of our need. For they speak never of the Valar, nor have their high lords brought any message to Thingol, whether from Manwë or Ulmo, or even from Olwë, the king's brother, and his own folk that went over the sea. For what cause, Galadriel, were the high people of the Noldor driven forth as exiles from Aemon? Or what evil lies on the sons of Fëanor that they are so haughty and so fell? Do I not strike near the truth?
Ooh. Tell me.
Like,
Tell me the half goss. What's
I know, it's.
happening?
Oh, the secondhand awkwardness.
Yeah.
Okay. Like, I can't imagine what Galadriel must have been feeling. Like, of course they aren't messengers from the Valar. They're actually kind of in trouble with them at the moment. Of
Yeah.
course they don't have a message from Thingol's brother Olwe
She
because
ain't
they
no
actually just
snitch.
killed a bunch of his people.
She ain't no snitch.
She ain't no snitch. I do wonder, though, how she knew that the sons of Fëanor were so haughty and so fell, though, because up to this point, as far as I am aware, she's never met them. So,
Maybe she's just heard about them. Maybe their
yeah,
haughtiness has made song and legend.
yeah. Like,
Does she know
I'm getting
who? Does
the
she
vibe.
doesn't know
I'm
who Fëanor is, does she?
just of him, and actually,
But
we're
she.
about to get into that.
Okay.
So now, Galadriel responds. So Melian had just asked her if she is striking near the truth. So Galadriel responds, near, like you're striking near the truth,
You're
save
getting warmer.
save that we were not driven forth, but came of our own will, and against that of the Valar. And through great peril, and in despite of the Valar, for this purpose we came, to take vengeance upon Morgoth and regain what he stole.
Oh. So
Quote,
she's
then,
switching
oh,
the blame.
kinda.
She's
So,
like,
quote,
"Don't get mad at us. Get mad at the real enemy here."
well, I feel like she could have done that, but I feel like she didn't do it. So, quote, then Galadriel spoke to Melian of the Silmarils and of the slaying at King Finwë at Formenos. But still, she said no word of the oath, nor of the kinslaying, nor of the burning of the ships.
Is it because she took part in it and she feels guilty?
Yes, I think, but also that's not her drama to tell. Like at that point, she would be gossiping. So I feel like there is a certain amount here that she did tell that is okay. You know, we're still respecting our private Noldor drama,
Yeah.
sorry, well, trauma and drama,
Well.
I guess, while giving further explanation of why they are there.
Yeah, yeah.
It's kind of like, this is our family drama. Like, we don't need to go spreading it around.
Respect. Respect.
Respect, yeah. So then Melian responds, quote, now much you tell me, and yet more I perceive. A darkness you would cast over the long road from Tirion, but I see evil there, which Thingol should learn for his guidance. Like,
Mm.
okay, now I just feel like Melian is being nosy. Like, does Thingol really need to know more than what Galadriel has told her so far? Like,
She's probably
Melian, just
super
let it
bored
go.
in that place. She's probably super bored in that cave. She's like, I don't get good reception in here, and my
Our Wi-Fi's
cable
been
hasn't
down
been
for weeks.
installed. Please, anything. Give me something.
I do love Galadriel's response, though. She
Okay.
says, uh, quote, maybe, but not of me. Like, you might need to know it, but you're not going to hear about it from me.
The sass.
The sass, but, respect. Galadriel is not approving of this gossip, and she isn't going to give in to nosy Melian. If Melian wants Thingol to know this information so badly, she needs to ask someone else. So I say, kudos, Galadriel, nicely handled. So
She
Melian
said
drops
she
the
ain't no
conversation.
snitch.
Galadriel's not about to get stitches for being a snitch.
Yes.
So Melian drops the conversation and doesn't bring it up again to Galadriel. But of course, she must tell Thingol all about what she did hear about.
Well, yeah, they're married.
They're married. Quote, this is a great matter, greater indeed than the Noldor themselves understand. For the light of Aemon and the fate of Arda lie locked now in these things, the work of Fëanor, who is gone. They shall not be recovered, I foretell, by any power of the Eldar, and the world shall be broken in battles that are to come, ere they are wrested from Morgoth. See now, Fëanor they have slain, and many another, as I guess. But first of all the deaths they have brought, and yet shall bring, was Finwë, your friend. Morgoth slew him ere he fled from Aemon.
Oh,
So remember, just as a quick recap, the
Morgoth
elves, when they
kid.
were Finwë, who is
Yeah,
Fëanor's dad, but also one of the first elves who migrated, who kind of did the visitation to Valinor. Remember, there were three elves that kind of were the ambassadors to kind of check it out
hmm,
and make sure things were okay. And that was
yeah.
Elwë, who is now Thingol, Ingwe, the king of the Vanyar, and Finwë, the king of the Noldor. They were buddies. They'd done this big journey together and they were all kings together. And now
Aw.
that Thingol has just learned that his buddies died, he's filled with grief and foreboding.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
to be
But,
expected.
yeah. But to the rest of Melian's news, he says, quote, now at last I understand the coming of the Noldor out of the west, at which I wondered much before. Not to our aid did they come, save by chance. For those that remain in Middle Earth, the Valar will leave to their own devices until the uttermost need. For vengeance and redress of their loss the Noldor came. Yet all the most sure shall they be as allies against Morgoth, with whom it is not now to be thought that they shall ever make treaty. So he's taking this news more of a reassurance that the Noldor will never join with Morgoth, that they will fight Morgoth together as allies.
Okay, positive thinking.
Positive thinking. However, Melian just can't let things go.
Like I said, I feel she's really bored in that cave.
Quote, truly, for these causes they came, but for others also. Beware of the sons of Fëanor. The shadow of the wrath of the Valar lies upon them, and they have done evil, I perceive, both in Aemon and to their own kin. A grief but lulled to sleep lies between the princes of the Noldor.
I mean, she's not wrong.
She's not wrong, but also, like, lady, let it go. The Sons of Fëanor aren't even allowed in your precious kingdom, so why does their drama concern you? Just,
Step off, lady.
so even Fingal answers her saying, what is that to me? Of Fëanor I have heard but report, which makes him great indeed. Of his sons I little to, well, I must have quoted that wrong. Of his sons I know little to my pleasure, maybe. Yet they are likely to prove the deadliest foes of our foe. So, like,
Oh,
yeah, I heard about Fëanor. He sounds like a interesting, great guy. I don't really like his sons, but they're
they could
pretty
help us
good
out
with.
if we need them.
Yeah, as long as they are the enemy to your enemy, then they are your friends. But
Mm-hmm.
Melian can not let this mystery go. She needs to find the answers.
Mm.
And she says, quote, their swords and their counsel shall have two edges.
um, she needs a little Sherlock Holmes hat and a little
She
pipe.
she needs the board with the yarn with the like I must find the answers.
Yes, the connecting the yarn and the pictures
Yes.
and the.
Quote, and afterwards they spoke no more of this matter.
He's like, I'm done. I don't want to talk about this anymore.
Yeah. Like I just I understand that the Sons of Fëanor may not exactly be trustworthy or predictable, but they can still kick orc butt. And again, they aren't even allowed in Thingol and Melian's kingdom anyway, so why does it matter so much to her?
I mean, she is a Maiar, so I feel like she feels like she's responsible for like making sure everything's going okay. Maybe
But
like
she's also like closed herself off. Like she's only caring about her and her kingdom. Remember, she doesn't let anyone else in this kingdom.
she's selfish. She sounds
She is a
pretty
bit
selfish.
selfish. Yeah.
She sounds
So,
pretty like tell me everything so I know how it won't ruin my life.
yes, that is yes, 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 yes. You nailed it.
I think yeah. She's been stuck up in that cave too long. She's going crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's getting a little crazy.
Chris. Unfortunately, this is when the real gossiping starts.
That wasn't the real gossiping?
Oh no, it gets much worse. So, this story goes from Galadriel to Melian to
Galadriel wears a
Thingol.
wig. Ah, I knew it.
So we go from Galadriel to Melian, Melian to Thingol. I'm sure Thingol somehow to the Sindar of their kingdom in Menegroth, to the Sindar outside of the palace, but still in Doriath, then to the Sindar outside of Doriath. The story of the Noldor just keeps going around and round and
It's like a
round.
it's like a game of telephone.
Yes. And it just keeps getting morphed and twisted, and it's just gets so
Like
bad.
telephone. Mhm.
Like telephone.
If you don't
Quote,
know what that game is, if
oh,
you're an international listener, the game of telephone is you sit with a group of people and one person comes up with a sentence and it could be like a normal sentence and then you whisper it to the person next to you and then they have to whisper it to the person next to them and it has to go around the circle and the last person who gets the message has to see if it's the same message as the original one or through matters of bad communication it got messed up along the way and it got ruined.
right.
So
Or if people just wanted to be troublemakers, they could change it too, which
yes,
I think
happens a
is,
lot.
yeah. So, yeah, this is a horrible game of telephone. Quote, certain it is whence they came, and the evil truth was enhanced and poisoned by lies. But the Sindar were yet unwary and trustful of words, and, as many will be thought, Morgoth chose them for his first assault of his malice, for they knew him not. And
Mm.
Círdan, hearing these dark tales, was troubled, for he was wise and perceived swiftly that true or false they were put about at this time through malice, though the malice he deemed was that of the princes of the Noldor, because of the jealousy of their houses. Therefore, he sent messengers to Thingol to tell all that he had heard.
Hmm. Okay.
So the Sindar hadn't had their words and thoughts twisted by Morgoth like the elves of Valinor had, so they believed everything that they heard,
They're
is
just sweet,
basically what they're
naive
saying.
little baby angels.
Right. But somehow Círdan saw through it a little bit and was like, gossip, gossip is no fun. Gossip, gossip can hurt someone. But then he goes around and makes an assumption that the princes of the Noldor are somehow jealous of each other, which isn't even true. And he tells that unsubstantiated thought to Thingol. So he's just furthering the gossip.
Mm.
So all this gossip and drama is going around, and it just so happens that Galadriel's brothers, Finrod Felagund and Ingrod, come by to Menegroth to visit their sister.
Aw.
Their timing could not have been worse, though. Quote, then
All the
Thingol,
people around are like turning up their nose at them.
yeah,
Like,
quote,
what do we
then
do?
Thingol, being greatly moved, spoke in anger to Finrod, saying, I'll have you done to me, kinsman, to conceal so great matters from me, for now I have learned of all the evil deeds of the Noldor.
Poor Finrod's like, hey, like family vacation, and they're like, wait, like, hold on, why is he yelling at me?
Yeah. And yeah, quote, this is Finrod. Quote, what ill have I done to you, Lord, or what evil deed have the Noldor done in all your realm to grieve you? Neither against your kingship nor against any of your people have they thought evil or done evil. Technically,
So
this is 100% accurate, so good job, Finrod.
he's like, hey, hey, hey,
However,
hey, let's calm down, everybody, take a breather.
however, this doesn't qualm Thingol at all. Quote, I marvel at you, son of Irwin, which is Finrod Felagund's mother and technically Thingol's niece.
He's bringing his mother into this.
Oh, yeah. So I marvel at you, son of Irwin, or Earwin. We decided it was Earwin, yes. I marvel at you, son of Earwin, that you had come to the board of your kinsmen, thus red-handed from the slaying of your mother's kin, and yet say not in defense, nor yet seek any pardon?
How I want him to say, how dare you?
Have at thee, sir! No,
Yeah.
so
I
I
said
don't
good
get
day.
where...
I said good day.
But it doesn't explain how he actually learned the truth here. How did he find
Mm,
out about the kinslaying? Like somehow
mm.
through the gossiping, some truth actually did get leaked in. Somehow. I don't know. But
Well,
poor Finrod,
maybe Melion through her Maiar abilities was able to
discern
maybe
something.
discern something, maybe talk to the other Valar or Maiar.
Maybe. But poor Finrod. Again, this secondhand awkwardness I can't even handle. He's just at a loss on what to say. If he defends himself, he is saying he agreed to the kinslaying. If he blames Fëanor and his sons, he isn't being a good friend and cousin and would essentially be throwing them under the bus. So he just stays silent.
Good tactic. He's pleading the fifth.
Yeah. However, do you remember our friend Ingrod?
Okay.
He was a bit bitter against the sons of Fëanor because one of the sons, Caranthir, was really rude to him that one time.
Oh yes.
So Ingrod is now happy to throw the sons of Fëanor under that bus for Finrod.
He's like, actually, if you want to know more, I've got way more to tell you.
Yes, that is precisely what happens. Quote, Lord, I know not what lies you have heard, nor whence, but we came not red-handed. Guiltless we came forth, save maybe of folly, to listen to the words of fell Fëanor, and became as if besotted with wine, and as briefly. No evil did we do on our road, but suffered ourselves great wrong, and forgave it. For this we are named tale-bearers to you. Tale as in tale, like story tales, not.
They've got tails.
I just wanted to clarify that as I read it. For this we are named tale-bearers to you, and treasonable to the Noldor. Untruly as you know, for
You
we
got
have
this.
of our loyalty been silent before you, and thus earned your anger. But now these charges are no longer to be borne, and the truth you shall know.
He's like, oh, girl, I got so much more gossip.
Yeah.
He's like, "Kid,
But
you don't even know."
I did like this analogy of the besotted with wine because, and the as briefly, like they did all go along with Fëanor, but I do feel like they were kind of drunk on his, I don't
Power.
know, vengeance, his power, his, what's the word? Good
His
at
like
talking. Good at talking.
good at talking. His good at talking.
You know what I mean, and I can't find the word.
He's very
Rhetoric. Sorry.
nope. He's good at talking.
Fine. He's good at talking.
No,
But that
not
doesn't
he
last
is good at
forever.
talking. He's good at talking.
He's good at talking. But that doesn't last forever, just kind of like a wine drunkenness. And I'm sure the hangover of this was probably far worse.
They're probably like, oh no, what have we done?
Yeah. So now Angrod tells them everything. Quote, Then Angrod spoke bitterly against the sons of Fëanor, telling of the blood at Alqualande and the doom of Mandos and the burning of the ships. And he cries, Wherefore should we that had Wherefore should we that endured the grinding ice bear the name of kinslayers and traitors?
I say thee nay. Good day, sir.
So I mean, calm down, Angrod. Just
I
calm down
also
a
want
minute.
someone to be like, okay, you're yelling. We don't really like yelling here. We're pretty chill. We're pretty chill in this cave. So if you could just
Yeah.
turn down the volume, that'd be great.
So I feel like he did spill the tea. Like he told them everything. But he did do it in a way that made them look
He
good at
mic
least.
dropped at the
So
end. Ksh.
yeah. It could have been worse, I guess. But then Melian and her nosy attitude responds to this whole story with, quote, Yet the shadow of Mandos lies on you also.
Ba ba ba.
Like, stay out of it, Melian! Like, they've been through enough!
She just has to like slide in that snide little side comment
But
like,
you're icky too.
well.
But then I feel like Thingol has an interesting response. Quote, Thingol was long silent ere he spoke. Go now, for my heart is hot within me. Later you may return, if you will, for I will not shut my doors forever against you, my kindred, that were ensnared in an evil that you did not aid. With Fingolfin and his people also will I keep my friendship, for they have bitterly atoned for such ill as they did. And in our hatred of the power that wrought all this woe, our griefs shall be lost. But hear my words! Never again in my ears shall be heard the tongue of those who slew my kindred in Alqualande, nor in all my realm shall it be openly spoken while my power endures. All the Sindar shall hear my command, that they shall neither speak with the tongue of the Noldor, nor answer to it. And all such as use it shall be held slayers of kin and betrayers of kin unrepentant.
I said good day.
Like, okay, I understand he's upset, but like, what is banishing a language really going to do though? And how
Yeah.
come no one mentions Maedros' apology? I feel like Maedros really put forth all that he could to make things right. And
Mhm.
that's not being said at all. And none of the blame, well, some of the blame, but not enough blame is being put on Morgoth, in my opinion.
Yeah. Like he was basically the one that
The pot
instigated the whole
stirrer.
freeing.
Yeah.
And I feel like he also had some, I mean, it doesn't say, but I also feel like, in like the first Avengers when like Loki like touches them and they kind of like are under his
Yeah.
spell, not necessarily
Mhm.
like that, like under a spell, but kind of like I feel like he kind of had some magic like
Yeah,
in his
I
words
agree.
of like seeping in and like making things worse and worse.
Yeah, I agree. But, Thingol's angry. He's asked them sternly but nicely to leave. So Finrod and Ingrod don't have a chance to respond or say anything more, and they just leave.
Hmm.
This whole situation has just made them very sad. And they're starting to see from Mandos's warning that even though they might not have been the main culprit to Feanor's evil deeds, they did do enough to mark themselves as well. And
They
none of
did
them would,
something.
yeah, none of them would be able to escape whatever fate they had coming to them.
Hmm.
Heavy. Yeah. Thingol's proclamation did go through the land, though, and everyone took on the language of the Sindar or Sindarin, and the language of the quote unquote West or of the Noldor was only spoken by the lords of the Noldor among themselves. Anyone else who tried to speak it was shunned by the Sindar.
I
Yeah. Quote, yet that speech lived ever as a language of lore wherever any of that people dwelt.
mean, to
So,
have the power to just get rid of our language is
yeah,
pretty intense.
yeah. And just a reminder, because I was getting kind of confused in the names here, but this language that he just banned is actually Kenya, Quenya.
Quenya.
Quenya. That comes from the original name of the elves, the Quendi, or those that speak with voices. So
Hmm.
that's why in a lot of the, well, at least in a lot of the show, a lot of their lore and scrolls and things are in Quenya.
Oh.
Yeah.
So Quenya is the one that stayed?
It's only, like I said, it's only used in like language of lore and their um, records. They couldn't speak it because that was,
Sindarin is the one that stayed.
yes.
Okay.
So now that the brothers of Galadriel were politely asked to leave, I imagine
Politely.
Galadriel fit, huh?
Politely.
Politely asked to leave. I imagine Galadriel probably felt a little awkward staying there.
Yeah. She's like,
Hi.
ah.
But luckily for her, around this time, her brother Finrod Felagund is going to hold a feast in his home of Nargothrond. So she leaves Menegroth and attends his feast and lives with her brother Finrod Felagund in Nargothrond for a while. During
Okay.
this bonding session of living with one's own sibling, Galadriel asks Finrod Felagund why he isn't married.
Mm. She's like, I want a
Quote,
sister. Okay. I
I
don't
know.
have any sisters.
Quote, but foresight came upon Felagund as she spoke, and he said, too, an oath I too shall swear, and must be free to fulfill it, and go into darkness. Nor shall anything of my realm endure that a son should inherit.
What does that mean? So, like, he doesn't think it's worth it? Or, wait, am I reading that wrong?
So Galadriel just asks him a simple question. Hey, bro, why don't you have a wife? And he just all of a sudden gets this vision of the future that he is going to be swearing some kind of an oath. And because of that oath, he will have to go into some kind of a darkness, and therefore he shouldn't be tied down to a woman. Maybe to not put her in danger or to distract him from the oath. It doesn't, maybe both. And his kingdom is going to perish, so he wouldn't have anything to leave to his son anyway.
Yeah, so he doesn't think it's worth it. Ugh,
Right. Yeah.
sad.
Quote, but it is said that not until that hour had such cold thoughts ruled him. For indeed, she whom he had loved was Amarie of the Vanyar, and she went not with him into exile. So,
Oh,
about this Amarie, I did some research on her, but this is pretty much the only time she is mentioned in the Silmarillion. But in other books and papers, she is not known as Finrod's wife, but as the beloved of Finrod Felagund. And
oh,
she wanted to go with Finrod Felagund when he left Valinor, but she wasn't allowed to, which I'm assuming was because she was one of the Vanyar who were very loyal to the Valar. Probably didn't happen.
or
But
maybe her dad didn't let her go or something.
yeah, but it does also say that when eventually Finrod Felagund dies, because sorry, he's going to die, his quote spirit returned to Valinor and he was re-embodied there and reunited with Amarie.
Aw.
So I didn't know that was a thing. Your soul can be reunited with its body after death. Like
And where like man, what is that guy?
Monway
No,
or Mandos.
Mandos
Yeah.
in his halls.
No, I think they're saying that he lives on Valinor with her. Like he
Oh,
came back from the dead somehow and lived with her in Valinor. But, out of all the people, I think he
let
probably
them
deserved
have
a
their
happy ending.
yeah,
Yeah.
let them have their happy ending. Okay.
Yeah. But I mean, what a heavy burden to have. You get this sudden vision that, you know what? I'm going to swear this crazy oath and I'm pretty much going to die for it. And so I'm not going to have a kingdom to leave to anyone anyway. But I don't know when it's
Heavy.
going to happen. It's going to happen someday. Like, you can't really plan anything with that. Like,
Yeah, but also heavy for his sister to hear that.
yeah. Yeah. So that's actually where I'm going to leave you today.
Of super sad.
But he has a happy ending, kind of.
That he doesn't get to marry his lady until he dies?
Well,
And how long till she dies?
I don't know. I think if
Because
she
you'd
stays
have
in
to.
Valinor, she can live forever.
True. I guess.
Yeah.
Sure. Um,
So just another note, I was rewatching the show now that it's over. Spoiler, 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 spoiler. And I was watching that scene where Arondir is talking to Adar, the
uh-huh.
dark guy. And he's like, "Where were you born or where are you from?" And he says, "Beleriand." I'm like, "Where? Beleriand is huge." Like I thought I just was like, "Oh, I know that name." But no, like I'm from America. Like
Yeah. Yeah. You'll just have to guess where.
I know. And then he's like, "By the mouth of the river." I'm like, "Which river?"
I'll
Not
never
helpful.
tell.
I know. So I doubt. I mean, because Arondir is a fictional character. Well, I know it's all fictional, but
He's
fictional
not
to the
he's
show.
not in the book, you know.
Yeah.
Please tell
I
me you got that
wonder.
reference. I just watched it yesterday. Please tell me you got that reference, or I'm gonna sound like a dork.
No,
I'm not in
it's
the
not a.
book, you know. It's the gopher from Winnie the Pooh.
Oh, I do like the gopher. Um, but I wondered like which clan, which brother, which son of so and so would whose land he would have grown up in.
Hmm.
Arondir.
But I feel like he's. I thought he said he was one of the first. Oh, a reindeer.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought we were talking about the other guy. A
No.
reindeer. Oh, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. And how long it
Maybe
was
he doesn't.
between that this time that we are talking about now and the show.
Maybe he doesn't want to say because he's like, you don't get to know who I am.
Yeah, that's true. But
Um,
even I'm from Washington. You still don't know who I am. Like,
true. Well, thank you for teaching me today all the hot goss.
you're welcome. Do you have a
Oh
elvish
yeah.
word for us today?
Um, Let me pull it up. I had pulled it up before. Um, let's see.
Oh, and I wanted to give a shout out to this really awesome, while you pull it up. Um, she's been so nice. Her name, I'm assuming it's a her because the name's Peony Toadfoot on Instagram, which I think is absolutely adorable. She sent us a link to a YouTube uh, music thing that she's like, hey, I just reached the first episode about Fëanor when Muriel dies. And I think this was exactly the song that Finwë sang, over Muriel's body. And it's actually like perfect. So,
Oh.
yeah. And she apparently has been sharing our podcast with all of her German friends. And we've actually did have an increase in our German listeners. So thank you, Peony.
Oh, thank you. Um, Also another kind of plug, maybe I guess, is Ashley and I are going to be, as the Sisters of the Shire, are going to be on another podcast coming up soon as guests for a trivia podcast. What is the name of that podcast?
TV Trivia Pod.
Yes, and we will be doing a it's trivia, movie trivia, and we'll be doing the Hobbit Battle of the Five Armies trivia, and that's going to be coming. We're going to be recording it next week. Is it next
Yeah.
week?
Yes.
I am so excited. I
I'm
love
not
trivia.
looking forward to having to memorize all of the dwarf names. I get them so mixed up. I know that's going to be a
I can
question
do it
though.
all.
And also, who were the five armies? Because that's debatable.
I but I do. I know those.
No, but okay, what are the five armies though? So it's
Okay,
men,
it's
elves,
men, elves, um,
dwarves,
dwarves, the
orcs.
orcs, and then the eagles.
So the eagles count. What about the earthworms? What about the goblins? Like, are those separate? Like,
I feel like the army of Sauron, I guess, would be the orc people. Um,
but then how
or
come the
the
Eagles don't count
because
as
they
the
don't
army
answer
of?
to anybody
And
except
how
to help
come
them out.
what's his face doesn't count? He's an army and unto himself. Beorn.
Oh,
Beorn?
Bjorn. Oh my
Beorn.
gosh, I love him. He's so cool.
But I hate orcs more.
Yeah. I just wish that they would come out with something. I really hope they show it in the show of more of the shapeshifter people because that
Oh
would
yeah.
be so cool.
That would be really cool.
All the shapeshifters before they got the what is it? Extinct, I guess would be the best word.
Yeah.
Um
Oh,
so
and we're
we're going to
also
be
going to
on
be
that.
recording. Yeah, we're going to be on that. And then we're also recording with our favorite honorary brother of the Shire, Albert, at the Lord of the Rings podcast, too.
Yes, I'm still figuring out if I can be there cuz I have a crazy schedule right now with family stuff, but it will happen regardless if I'm there or not. So uh, give that a listen over at the Lord of the Rings podcast when it comes out. And then the trivia podcast again is called,
TV Trivia Pod.
yes, and that will be out in a few weeks because we're recording it next week, and then he'll probably have to edit, and then it will come out probably soon after that. I'm super excited for that one.
Oh
And
my.
your huh?
So am I.
And your Elvish word for the day is no sé. Do you know what that
No
is?
sé. Well, it sounds like Ose, who is the Maiar, the storm Maiar.
Mm.
No say though. Does it have anything to
Noss.
do with storms?
No. Nosse with the 2 dots over the top
Yeah.
is a Quenya word, which we learned is no longer spoken but written, is for family.
Oh, no
Um,
say.
yes.
I like
Uh,
it.
yes. So um, we've learned, what have we learned so far? Friend, magic,
Except
goal. What
magic
is
has the
it?
the fun.
Goro or something.
Yeah,
Goro.
doesn't sound very magical.
Yeah. So no say is family or kindred or
I
clan
like it.
or house kind of
And
thing.
then Melon is friend.
Mm-hmm.
Just you think they'd be closer,
Um,
but
yeah. Well, thanks for teaching me today.
remember, you're welcome. Remember to follow us at Sisters of the Shire podcast on
Yes.
Instagram. Please, please rate and review. I'll just go ahead and make it easy for you. Just rate us 5 stars. That's all you have to do. Just rate us 5 stars.
Easy.
So easy. On all the platforms, please, please, please share with your friends and family. I really feel like even if you haven't read the Silmarillion, that's not a requirement to, listen to this podcast. And uh, if you want to watch the Rings of Power show, I feel like this kind of helps too. At
It
least, I
helps
mean, it,
me so much with that show.
right?
Like, it helped me, doing this helped me understand that show a million times better than having going in blind and being like, what's happening?
Yeah. It
Because
does
when
make
they
you a bit of a nitpicker,
but when they say things like a name of a Maiar, a name of a Valar, or a place or a person, I'm like, I know what that is.
Owl's beard.
Yes. I know what that is, and it makes more sense to me now, and it makes the world feel like real. You know what I mean? Like, it
Yeah.
makes the world of the show feel more real because I'm like, I get it.
Yeah.
So that makes me happy.
Yeah.
Um anyway, so also what was I going to say? Oh, the Instagram, please, if you love to have, like, if you want to share anything with us, we can, that's like positive and happy, or like a fun review you had or a fun thought you had about the podcast. My friend, I wrote about it on the stories, is doing a cross country road trip right now. And I was like, perfect timing for you to listen to our podcast. You've got endless hours in the car. Um, and she was telling me, she was like, this makes me really want to read the Silmarillion, but also I don't want to read it because it'll probably make me fall asleep. So I'm just going to listen to this and listen to this instead.
I feel like this would count. I really do. Because
Yeah.
I do include the boring stuff. We try to make it fun, but I did include the map stuff. So I mean, it's like you've read the Silmarillion.
Yeah. I mean, you can get through it in a conversation with someone talking about it enough to
Yeah,
sound like you have read it, you know.
yeah, for sure. So I
Um,
think it counts.
Go us, we're doing it.
Go us. We're doing the darn thing. So until next week, I've been Ashley.
And I'm Abby, and this has been the Sisters of the Shire podcast. And thank you for joining us, and we'll see you again soon. Bye.
Bye.